Kenya's new constitution, Kenya's lifeline. From cities, towns, highlands, arid and semi-arid regions, a promise of a brighter future in a beautiful country, Kenya. Our daily inspirations are drawn from our national anthem, Arise, Be Steadfast and Shine. Amkeni, Wakenya.
The new constitution means life to me. It is my life and it is everything. As a person with disability, the constitution has brought me to the limelight. It has given me an identity. Under Article 54, I am recognized and protected.
Tumepewa uwezo sisi kama wamama kuweza kuongoza. Tuko na sauti katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Tunaweza tukafanya jambo na ikakuja ikasikilizwa na kisha ikaweza kupitishwa ambapo inaweza kutusaidia kwa siku za usoni.
I didn't know much on rights like right on health, and like now that I know on rights on health education, I'm much empowered.
Between December 30th, 2007 and February 28th, 2008, Kenya descended into the worst post-election violence ever seen. Over 1,100 people were killed and more than 600,000 others displaced.
The tension that was there was so high that we could not relate with each other. Those people who had migrated to Rift Valley were forced to come back to their original homelands.
Tulikuwa tunasikia vibaya sana unakuwashuku hawa watu sababu ya vile walifanya watu wetu.
There was violence across Nyanza, in Kisumu, in Migori, in Homa Bay, and the police response in many of the cases was in terms of dispersing the demonstrators, and in the process a number of people were killed.
Walikuwa yani hawanipendi, wanakuchukulia kuwa mtu mwenye usi wa kabila yao. Kwa hivyo nikajaribu kuongea nao mara kwa mara.
During and after post-election violence, a number of civil society organizations, CSOs, and community-based organizations, CBOs, made interventions aimed at restoring peace and cultivating the process of national healing and reconciliation among different communities.
Tulifundishwa kukaa vizuri na watu. Hata ikiwa mtu amekufanyia namna gani, tulifundishwa. Nikaona kila mtu ni mzuri na kila mtu ni rafiki, na nikaona problem ni mimi. Sasa mimi nikiwa ninawashukia, sasa hiyo mimi ndio ndiko na problem.
We had to come up with a concept whereby we have to take the project to the grassroots and involve especially those people who are affected in one way or another. So if you compare then and now, people have accepted to live with each other.
Wapenda wetu walikufa na mali nyingi kaharibika. 2007 injini tulikosa amani.
Issue was where do you come from? Who are you? But with the coming of the Peace Club now in place through Stretch and UNDP and the other sponsors, we have had what he called as a national healing and reconciliation through a number of activities by the club, like sports, there is a drama, the singing, the preaching, recitation of verses and many other initiatives towards now preaching peace and reconciliation.
Kikundi cha Peace Club imenisaidia kama mwanafunzi kuinteract with the other students at school, so you can get that we are sharing even books and consulting with the other students.
All over Kenya, there was need for healing and reconciliation, access to justice, rule of law, and better democratic governance. Based on this combination of factors, a number of development partners came together in July of 2008 and established Amkeni, Wakenya, previously called Civil Society Democratic Governance Facility, to spearhead a strong, well-funded, vibrant, and independent civil society sector.
From our name, Amkeni, which is taken from the second stanza of the national anthem, it means that our role is to work with Kenyans and to promote them to stand up for their rights, to promote democratic governance, to ensure that there's cohesion, there's national stability, and that people of all different ethnic groups participate in the political processes in a way that will ensure national stability and development.
I never knew much about human rights, but I knew only the definition of human rights. But now I know about human rights at large, and it has given an impact in my life. We've got a lot of cases in our community, like for the GBV, the reps, and the marginalized communities of the Nubians, issues related to land that we're dealing with right now.
We are working at the moment with Amkeni Wakenya program to reach out to a unique group of Kenyans who have not benefited quite a long time because of their nature. The communities we are targeting are the tribalized communities living in informal settlements, which were initially a creation of the colonial administration. We thought it is important to engage these people, to dialogue with them, and for them to be able to take part in electoral processes, for them to actually to have representation, even at the local level, and also in future at the formation of the county government structures.
CIVOC works with Amkeni Wakenya, and especially during the referendum period. We provided civic and voter education to the Magadi community, and we did this through focus group discussions that targeted women, youth, and the general community. Traditionally, it will have been, it is the men who decide how the women will vote, but we were able to educate women on their rights and their role, and we also lobby the men to allow the women to make their choice. And during that, the voting, during the referendum, women actually were allowed to make their own choice.
Amanu rabajo, ore nkitengenar ya katiba na kilepunye intomonok. Isulaki tiatua irmareita, amu ore oshi irmarei lang na kironya apa ntomonok oleng. Miidim entomononi piirore eramatare oonkishu, miidim ninye entomononi piirore nkera. Orpayian oirore pooki toki tenkang, neeku ore entomononi naa ketii apa abori.
The people of West Pokot have been marginalized during the colonial period, immediately after the colonial period, and the two successive governments. There are no roads, there is no water, there is no electricity. Therefore, the thought of working with the North Rift is born by the belief that people can actually shape their destiny, given knowledge and empowered. They will determine, for the first time since independence, the leadership within the county, the priority of the development projects within the county.
Kwa wakati ulianza, sisi ndio tulichangia kabisa kupiga kura ya katiba. Na hapa sisi tunafurahi sana kwa kukumbuka wa kijana akue mstari wa mbele pamoja na wamama kujaguliwa pia upatikane katika utawala wetu ya Kenya.
The Kenyan state over the years has made efforts to address the needs and concerns of women. The new constitution has provided rights of women with respect to their personal status and non-discrimination based on gender.
Tulisoma from chapter to chapter, na tukaambiwa mambo yetu yale yanatuhusu kama kina mama, ambaye nilipata kwa so much inspired. Nikapewa a lot of confidence in myself. I have decided to come and run for this seat ya Pokot women rep in the whole county.
Kwa kawaida mama akipatiwa majukumu kwa kitu fulani, hiyo kitu lazima itafaulu. Maana wa mama ndio tunaona ni kila kitu katika maisha yetu kama wana Kenya. Maneno ya corruption ama ya wizi, ya kuiba vitu, kupoteza rasilimali ya serikali itapunguza.
We work in the rural area building the capacity of women and telling them you need to come out in large number to vie for various positions so that you can also make decisions in this country.
And we really want to see an equal society. So that is what the think tank does. We've done the same for the land legislation, all of the land laws, bringing up issues of matrimonial property and bringing up issues of women and land and women and ownership of property in this country. We've also done the same for the devolution laws, looking at making sure that women, and devolution really is supposed to be service driven. So making sure that those services are really going to have an angle at gender. So the think tank continues to do that. We are going to be looking next at the public finance bill.
Amkeni, Wakenya has been at the forefront to promote linkages between and among state and non-state actors in order to increase networking, learning and sharing of knowledge. They have succeeded where many failed.
We're in Mandera, we're in Wajir, we're also in as much as we are also in Nyanza. And the whole idea then is to work through these civil society organizations which are working within the communities to help them then promote democratic governance, including civic education and also hopefully voter education when the time comes.
Mheshimiwa amesoma katiba. Wewe umesoma katiba?
Wacha sasa, kwa nini mimi nisome katiba? Mheshimiwa ndo ametengeneza hiyo katiba. Yeye ndo alikuwa mwanzilishi wa hiyo katiba. Sasa tufanyeje?
Je, huyu mzee anapoteza familia yake ama mnaonaje? Nani anafaa kusoma katiba? Ama nani anafaa? Wote. Nani? Wote.
Na wakati we give them knowledge, skills and experiences.
Mzee hamjasoma katiba wananchi.
People tend to understand what they see. They understand what they hear. If you put people in a class, they'll tend to drift away. But once they're seeing theater, they see their lives being played out in front of them. So theater makes it easier for them to understand whatever you're trying to put across.
Tunaona tutakuwa na nguvu zaidi ya kuamua mahali tunataka development, kama ni barabara ama ni maji, kulingana na ile decision sisi tutakuwa tukimake, kwa sababu pesa zenye zimetoka huko zimekuja hapa mashinani. Sasa watu wa mashinani naona ni kama tutakuwa na nguvu kumake decision kama ni barabara ama ni maji ama ni stima.
Hakuna mwananchi sahihi ataenda kwa serikali ati akaambia serikali tunaomba serikali tufanye hivi kwa sababu kila mmoja ametambua haki yake. Kwa hivyo huduma iko na lazima hudumiwe.
Na baada ya wao kunielimisha, nafikiri faida moja kubwa ambayo niliipata, nimeweza kujengeka uwezo kwamba ninaweza na mimi pia kuhamasisha jamii kupata hii hati miliki. Ninaweza pia kumuelimisha mwananchi umuhimu wa hizi rasilimali kama vile madini, wa kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba zile sera zimebadilishwa kutoka zile outdated, zile sera za zamani ambazo ni za since 1940, ili ziweze kubadilishwa ziwe sera ambazo zitaoana na katiba mpya, ndiposa pale tutaweza kufaidika kisawasawa na ile mali asili ambayo iko.
We are stressing on the use of human rights approach to development rather than the needs approach. So we are seeing communities taking the agenda using a human rights way, demanding their rights, the ownership, the right to own natural resources, the right to use natural resources as a right this time. We trained 30 and we feel that when they go back home, they will replicate that process, and that is our motive.
One of the greatest achievements for Amkeni, Wakenya was a successful civic education during the referendum for the 2010 Constitution. Kenya's new constitution has been providing the framework for engagement with the more than 180 civil societies who have been undertaking work on various components of governance. So far, over 3 million people all over Kenya have benefited from the various programs spearheaded by Amkeni, Wakenya. The youth have not been left behind in matters of peace and reconciliation, human rights, and other vital programs.
Since we implemented projects of UNDP Amkeni, we have had 2 other donors working with us immediately after working with UNDP Amkeni. So UNDP Amkeni found us when we were a little bit low in terms of the capacity, but they lifted us to a capacity that we are able to attract funding from other bigger donors.
Using the rights-based approach gives people the power to claim what is rightfully theirs. So I think such capacity building gives us new avenues to pursue bettering our communities, because we are from this community, we are not strangers.
The new constitution has made substantial efforts to give disability issues a visible and national character, both in leadership and representation, through reservation of positions at particular levels.
I'm aspiring for that special seat kwa Bungoma County kwa walemavu, na kwa sababu katiba inanipa hiyo nafasi, ninaomba, though I may not be financially stable, but I know ofisi ika hapa inaweza kunishughulikia na kila hali, na nitajiona niko ndani ya Bungoma County.
Being more than a number, as the name suggests, this is a project aimed at enhancing the capacity for increased participation of persons with disabilities in the creation of a people-centered government in the newly devolved government system that has been provided by the new Constitution of Kenya.
Before we met Amkeni, the first thing is that we had many challenges. First, medical denials, whereby we are not given a self-esteem and dignity about people with PWA. And after I met Amkeni Wakenya organization, first thing we went through the Bill of Rights. We recognized our rights as Kenyans, as citizens, and now the societies and the Kenyans and the whole people, they are able to accept us. Wherever we go, we are given chance to talk, to express ourselves.
So we trained the deaf people about the Constitution. We did civic education. And now the deaf people understand the Constitution. They can read and understand. Initially they didn't know what the Constitution entails. So when we got the grants, we went to different places training them. And now we have deaf people who can actually sit with their friends and explain what is in the Constitution. They know their rights in the Constitution. So now at least they understand the Constitution.
People voted for accountability, for a transparent government, for more equitability in Kenya. I think this was a very important step, and this constitution really sets a framework for reform.
I think one of the key achievements of Amkeni has to have reached some populations like the minority groups that were difficult to reach.
The future is that I think the work will continue. Hopefully other partners will step forward and support, but we also hope other partners will pick it up or pick up the idea of working with civil society to promote democratic governance values and run with it.
Nimewajengea shule, ushuru wetu. Kingine. Nimewajengea hospitali, ushuru wetu.
Amkeni will work in a way, or will continue to work in a way that will ensure that it awakens Kenyans to demand their rights for good citizenship. And I hope that Amkeni will continue to do this until such a time that the country is on a footing to progress into a democratic system of government in which all citizens feel they are stakeholders.
Mwaka wa 2000 nilianza kutatizwa na bwana mwingine ambaye alikuja akaclaim kwamba yeye ile shamba ambayo mimi nilikuwa ninaishi ni yake. Tukaletewa barua mara ya kwanza ambayo ilikuwa inasema tunatakikana tuvunje nyumba maana tulijenga bila idhini yake. Kikodi ikanifanyia mipango ya kustop kule kuvunja.
We have seen a lot of rejuvenated kind of activism within the paralegals, trying to advocate for their rights, trying to ensure a good governance, and trying to ensure that they take up issues of human rights violations within the area, and they forward these cases to ensure that there is access to justice and good governance in the area.
We have been able to train 10 schools through the support of Amkeni Wakenya. We have done training for students in the 10 schools. We have done training for non-teaching staff members of the 10 schools and also of the teachers in the same 10 schools on peace and conflict management.
Although we are not fully healed, we still have a chance, we still have time by maybe trying to make such a project like this or national healing to be sustainable and actually to live and to remain with the community.